So I mean, I've been involved with student government since I started at UM. At first, it was through Category 5, which is spirit programming. When I came in, I grew up in Miami. Miami Hurricanes football, Miami Hurricanes athletics has been like a big part of my upbringing. So I was like, like it's a good place for me to start. Um, Through Cat 5, I realized that there's a lot more to do in student government. So I did Cat 5. I continued through Cat 5, and then I joined Senate my sophomore year. And then with Senate, I was able to represent, my friends, essentially the commuter population, the people I started at UM with. Um, and continue with that, spirit programming side. And then like this past year, I've, grew in both those positions, saw, the policy aspect of Senate with also, like the event planning of Category 5. So this year I'm, the vice chair external of Category 5 and the PR vice chair for Senate. Um, and then I feel like that, like within student government, has given me a lot of, thought in terms of what I need to do to make the school better. And it's not necessarily that there aren't people who want to make the school better because, we're filled with it. The University of Miami really does inspire people to want to do more for it. Um, I just think that, a lot of times people don't know where to go. And I think that, with a position like treasurer, you're able to, help people with, the budget aspect of their event planning. But also, with my experiences here, I've kind of like learned what it takes to put together, a successful event that, have students come out to it. And, being able to bring in the rest of student government and help walk them through the process, and then just ensure that the purchasing and the funding is all done according to the way that the university wants it to make it go really really smoothly. I feel like that's something that I can do very very well, and that's why I decided to run for treasurer. Yeah. So with the treasurer, a lot of it has to do with the budgeting aspect of student government. Student government's large. It's a really big organization. We have over 150 members, and spread over throughout different branches. And part of that is putting together a budget for all of these branches and smaller committees. Part of it is also working with SAFAC and helping to allocate student activity fees. Um, what do I want to do with that? I feel like within student government, I want to make sure that everybody has the correct budgeting that they need to put on the events that they want to do. Because a lot of times you're a smaller organization, like for example, Evan on ALC. He this year had a smaller budget because ALC just doesn't tend to use a lot of money. But he did not want to decide that he wanted to do programming and do tabling events to get surveys out. And then that's something that we can plan for next year and incorporate that kind of tabling budget in there, so we can have food to attract students to come out. And then, with SAFAC, that has to do with allocating the student activity fees that you pay coming in. Um, and I feel like with my experiences throughout different organizations at UM, I kind of have like a gauge of like an understanding on where you need money, like where it would be better used, and how those students can really benefit from that, and like how to make that budgeting stretch. So I feel like it's just like an extra like voice in the SAFAC committee to help the current SAFAC board understand and see like maybe a different student perspective that they wouldn't see. So I've actually known Evan and Cathy since freshman year. I met Cathy in orientation. She came in as a commuter also, so we met during like that commuter group orientation setting. I met Evan, hanging out in the SG office freshman year, and when they approached me and they were like, "Hey, like we want to do this. Would you be interested?" I uh, I thought about it and I realized that I've seen I've seen their work. They're super super accountable. Cathy is amazing to work with. She's so much fun. Evan knows policy inside and out. Like I don't understand how he reads so much policy and is just on top of that all the time. And I feel like together we really balance each other out and bring like a really nice like three-pronged ticket. Um, and I felt that we had a very nice shared vision for what we want to get out of student government and move the university towards. Um, I feel like a lot of that has to do with um, just transparency and really bringing involvement up and making sure that people understand what we're doing. I feel like my greatest qualm with student government as a whole has been communication. Not in a bad way. It's just I feel like a lot of people don't, maybe they just choose to ignore the communication or they just don't see it. But um, we really really want to focus on getting the word out and making sure that everything is very well communicated and clear so that everyone has just a very good understanding of what. Yeah, so one of the initiatives that we're working on is enhancing the student game day experience. This year they came in with Fanzone. Fanzone was it's a student government initiative. It started in Senate. I was there when like the bill was passed to have um, the administration look at it, and we were granted that money to put together Fanzone. And I think that really just reframing the way that Fanzone is marketed and the way that we treat Fanzone, I think would really help bring students in. Um, I feel like a lot of students perceive it as like a replacement to tailgating instead of a safe alternative and like a resource for them. Um, it would be a really good place to hang out with your friends, cool down because it's hot outside, get water, get free food, and I feel like we just want to revamp the marketing of it and just make sure that it's perceived as a resource and not a replacement. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with our experience. Cathy brings in a Greek perspective that I don't have. Evan brings in a policy perspective that I don't have, and I think I bring to them, a student affairs involvement perspective that they don't have. And I think together we really get a nice, bird's eye view of the different, constituencies on campus, um, and that understanding I think goes a long way, because, you know, communication with these separate groups is very different. If I reach out to a specific group of people through an email, maybe they're quicker to reply than another group of constituencies where they prefer social media. And having that understanding to be able to like push our initiatives and push the ideas that we want to bring to the table, I think is really important. That just understanding of campus, and that's something that we look to really take advantage of if we are to get elected. To just make sure that everyone is all in and everyone is together on this, and everyone really just knows what's going on. Because the student perspective is what drives the university. Without students, there is no university. You can have all the administration in place, all the facilities, but without a student, there's not much there. So we just really, really want to incorporate the students and make sure that their voices are getting heard.